So I've been weightlifting for almost 5 years straight, and I'm an ex-competitive bodybuilder, currently an online fitness coach and a personal trainer, and this is how I stick to my diet. Okay, so I'm going to cover a few mindsets and a few tips in this video. First thing I want to cover is a mindset, the goal of eating. It is very popular these days that the eating has become more of a feeling thing, which is terrible. It's literally stated as a sin in the Bible, first of all. But second of all, if you eat for feeling, you realize that your body starts to suffer because you eat things that are bad for you. Eating is not meant to be for feeling. Eating is meant to be nutrition. Eating is meant to fuel you and build your body, not break it down and entertain your feelings and emotions. So for muscle gain, you need higher calories, higher protein. You need a surplus in calories in order to gain weight. And for fat loss, you need less calories. You need calories deficit, meaning less calories than you burn in a day, and higher protein. The only factor that stays consistent, regardless of your goal, whether you're trying to gain weight, whether you're trying to lose fat and gain muscle, I'd recommend doing that one at a time rather than trying to do it at the same time, or whether you're just trying to lose fat or just trying to lose weight. The only thing that stays consistent is protein. Your protein needs to be high, staple. You don't change that. Without getting a good amount of protein, your training can be largely wasted. You aren't giving your bodies the bricks to build the walls that you're busy breaking in a way. So a couple of nutrition basics I just want to cover is that you want to be eating between 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For an example, I weigh 86 kilograms, 87 on a good day, and I'm eating 160 grams of protein, 200 grams of protein a day sometimes. I like to go rather over than under. But that being said, anywhere between 1.6 and 2 grams per body weight is an ideal range that you want to stick in. Anywhere below, you may be subsidizing potential gains with your diet. And eat enough calories to support your goal. If you're trying to lose weight, then keep the protein up there and reduce fats and carbs to try and reduce the calories. And once you've reduced the calories enough where you start to lose weight, don't cut it anymore. Keep it where it's at and you're losing weight. When you stop to lose weight and you want to lose more weight, then just drop it ever so slightly by a couple hundred calories and just keep going, rather than plummeting all the way down to low calorie range, losing a lot of weight, and then you can't maintain it and you can't keep eating like that, so you end up failing. So be gradual with it, especially with both ways actually, but especially with fat loss. Be gradual with decreasing calories and losing the weight, because then in that way you'll be able to maintain it. Another thing that's especially helpful for weight loss specifically is eating whole foods. If your diet is mostly whole foods, it is going to be way more filling than anything else. You can get an immense amount of calories in things that are processed. For an example, you can have, I don't know, a candy, a sweet, a chocolate. A tiny bit of food is going to be packed with calories. If you eat whole foods, for example, steak, rice, chicken breasts, you can eat a fair amount of that without going into a big calorie range, compared to eating like a small McDonald's burger. That's very processed, and it's got a lot of unhealthy crap, even though the calories aren't necessarily that high. They are, but there's got a lot of crap more than it does have calories. So I'll just avoid that in general. But stick to whole foods. First of all, healthier for your body, easier for your body to digest, and your body gets more out of it because it actually digests it more, because it needs to do more digesting, which is a good thing, because then it's able to extract more of the macros and micros from the food when it has to process the food more. And don't really overcomplicate it beyond this. Just nail the basics. Once you've nailed the basics, it's so easy to push through. So here's a real world problem that most people face when it comes to diets is the social aspect of it. Going out, eating with family, eating with friends, events come on, birthdays. So likelihood is if you're struggling with this, you're in one of two groups. Group A is you just give in and you feel really guilty, but you give in anyway because you're like, okay, well, it's a social occasion. I just want to eat what everyone else is eating, and I want to eat this, to be quite frankly honest with you. And you give in and you do feel bad and you feel guilty. And that's this group. And the other group is you restrict yourself to not swaying by the diet at all. And it's a really hard, strict thing. And now you're completely missing out on the social occasion because you feel like you're a really, you're like the sore thumb that sticks out. And you just feel, bad in a different way to the first group does feel bad. Not guilty bad, but it just doesn't work bad. You feel like you don't fit in kind of bad. So you feel slightly miserable in a way. Either extreme does not work long term. The mindset shift for approaching this kind of setting, for me personally, it is not to have a strict rule to follow, but to be conscious. Something I remind myself every time before eating something in a social occasion is I am going to forget the taste of this tomorrow morning. And my body is going to remember what it is for the next week or two. Is this a trade-off I want to take? Basically, what I'm saying is make eating more of a conscious thing. The last thing you want to do in these social occasions is eating becomes something that just flies behind your head through both ears, where you just mindlessly know. That's the part that makes you feel guilty for valid reasons, because you're probably completely screwing your diet and you're going to feel terribly the next day, not only mentally because you failed the diet, but physically because your body's like, why? What did you just do to me? So being conscious when you approach food is a really good habit to have, and reminding yourself that you will forget the taste tomorrow. Is it worth it if your body remembers what it feels like for the next couple of weeks? And for me personally, if because I'm actually trying to gain weight, if anything, most of the time it's fine. I'll let it fly, except for I don't eat anything sugary, because that's not going to help me in that realm at all. Gain muscle. It's not going to help me lose fat. All it's going to do is just kind of poison my body. So I never eat sugar. Well, I don't eat anything sugary. There's good things that have a bit of sugar in that I will have every now and then. But I avoid sugar because I know that it's just pointless for me. It's not going to do anything for me. But on the other hand, I do have burgers because there is protein in it. The patties are actually, provided they're not from like some like McDonald's or KFC or something, homemade burgers especially, I have them. Why? Because the patties are meat that have lots of protein, lots of fat, good fat as well. So I'll have it. On the other hand, you get like sweets, sugary muffins. Like I look at them like, okay, I'm not going to get any protein from this. It's not going to fuel my body. It's not going to help me to do anything. Yeah, there's basically nothing it's going to do for my body. Why am I going to eat it? I'm not going to eat it because I'm eating consciously, not by feelings. If I was eating by feelings, I wouldn't have even thought about that. I would just eaten it. But no, I'm eating consciously. So I'm going to look at it and be like, okay, this is not going to help me. I'm not going to eat it. So I'm not telling you to not enjoy your life. I'm just telling you to be more self-aware. Sometimes, yes, if you really have a sense of, I don't know, like nostalgia or tradition towards some food, then obviously you can let that in. But then if you know it's bad for you and you have to, if you have to, this is a very rare occasion where you have to let something bad food into you, but let's say you have to let in some bad food for like a tradition or something, be aware of quantity. If you have a tiny bit, it's okay. Like for an example, for me, if I have, like I haven't had like normal chocolate, like I enjoy dark chocolate, like 85% dark chocolate from Lind. But say I receive like a, I don't know, like a Top Deck Cadbury or something, super sugary, filled with crap, or like candy or something. If I have one, it's going to be fine. But if I allow myself to have one, then I'll probably allow myself to have another, and I'll probably allow myself to have another one in days to come and make that a habit. So what my point is saying is one isn't going to hurt me, but if I allow one, then I'll probably allow more. So in rare situations where you are pressurized to having something, just know that it's okay for that one thing. It's not going to mess everything up. What is going to mess up is if you let that become a habit or let that become a consistent allowance. As long as you put barriers for consistent eating, that's good. If you let one thing fly in, that's okay. That's fine. So always remember, whenever you're eating, there's a trade-off. Either you're going to indulge in feeling good eating something, and then your body's going to suffer for a little bit after, and your body's just going to hate you a little bit for it, and your training performance will decrease for at least a couple of days, maybe even a week, maybe even 2 weeks if you eat that badly. Or are you willing to make the sacrifice in the moment and go, nah, I'd rather eat something healthy or not anything at all, and then your training just stays really optimal. You feel fresh. You feel good long term. You feel good the next morning. You feel good the next day, and you feel ready to take on the day. And you don't feel guilty. You feel you know you've stuck to your program. So just remember that trade-off. So the problem is not really the rare occasional meal out. It's more of a consistent, unconscious thought on letting things in. So here's some practical advice. If you know that you're going to eat out and it's probably not going to look very great, here's my advice for you. Throughout the day, leading up to it, change your diet a bit. If you can keep it as pure protein as possible, in other words, less carbs, less fats, less sugars, just keeping it pretty lower in calories, higher in protein, use your day to rebalance that. So if you know you're going to have a lot of carbs, a lot of fats, a lot of sugars, then throughout the day, if you would have had any of those things, don't have any of those things. So it almost balances out the scale so you can neutralize what you've done. With that being said, don't take this mindset and be like, okay, cool, I can eat crap every single night as long as I just suffer during the day. No. That's not maintainable, because during the day, every single day, if you keep it really bland, then you're not going to maintain that, and you're going to slip up very often during the day, which means that you won't have a balance anymore. But second of all, having really bad food every night is going to be really bad for you. This is, again, once off scenario. And when you're at the restaurant and you're eating out, if you can choose what to eat, stick to higher protein whole foods, like steak, chicken, fish, something like that, and then like a little fill around it. Don't eat empty things like macaroni and cheese. That's a stupid dish. It should have never been invented, and it is the most useless thing on this earth. Never eat macaroni and cheese. There is nothing good in it. It is just calories, processed carbohydrates, starch. Never have that ever again in your whole life. Just a bad example there. Good example being steak, chicken, fish, meat. Make that your main dish and have that the biggest part of your dish, and eat that first as well. And then anything else that's mainly the bad food, say you get filled from the steak and you can only eat so much of like the chips or the ice cream or whatever the heck you're having after that, because you're full from the steak, then that's a W. Then you haven't actually subsided too much from your diet, because you've had what's important and the rest is excess. And if you have a lot of what's important, then that excess becomes less, so it's less of a bad effect. One meal won't break your progress, but a pattern of unconscious choices will. Biggest takeaway from here is that consistency always comes over perfection. Your diet can be perfect, but if you only follow it for a month, then you're not going to see anywhere close to near, or not even a month. If you follow it for a week, a month, you're not going to see results anywhere near someone who can follow a diet half as good for 6 months. They're going to see way better results than you who just followed their perfect diet plan for 2 weeks. Consistency over perfection. If you're setting your own diet, be healthy, but set something you know you're able to follow and challenge yourself a little bit. And you will be able to stick to that so much more than making a perfect diet. 80 to 90% consistency over months is what transforms a body, not 100%. 80 to 90%. Yes, there's always those 10% slip-ups. But as long as it stays the 10 to 15, maybe 20%, that's okay. You're still going to see great results. If it goes out of that 20 range and you start slipping up 30% of the time, that's when it starts to affect your results, your progress. And something I've done personally that really helped me so much is I decided quite a while ago that I just wanted to not have any sugar. And I had a little bit of a sweet tooth. It wasn't that bad, but I had a bit of a sweet tooth. And I decided to not eat any sugar for a year straight. And now I have nowhere close to the sweet tooth that I had. And if I ever taste anything I could have craved before that time of being sugar-free, it doesn't taste good anymore because my body's used to eating healthy stuff and not bad stuff. So if you've got the will and the discipline to stick to an extremely hard restriction for a long period of time, your body will get used to not having those things, and you'll actually learn to dislike those things. So yes, it is a rare thing. It takes a lot of discipline. I am personally gifted from the Lord to be extremely disciplined, and it's not a very usual thing. But if you do have that extreme discipline, I highly recommend having at least half a year where you cut out everything you know is bad food that you're tempted to have and inclined toward, and you might find that you don't like it anymore after that much time. Now, don't immediately after 6 months try the food again, see if you like it. Stay away from it for that period of time, 6 months, a year, whatever you decide. But then afterwards, don't strictly stay away from, just stay away from it. And then eventually you won't even want to go to it because you realize I haven't had it for this long and I'm doing perfectly fine. So clearly I don't need it, so I'm not going to have it. That was my thought behind it. That's how I ended up as disciplined as I am with eating, not because I permanently have 100% discipline, but just because through the discipline that I've incorporated in the past, I've manipulated my body to not actually wanting unhealthy things anymore. So nutrition doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be intentional. Get your protein in, eat for your goal, not for your feelings. And when life happens, make the choice with your eyes open, not your eyes closed. Make the choice consciously, not unconsciously. And if you want to build a diet around your specific goals and lifestyle, and you want to fit that in your lifestyle that aims towards your goals, that's exactly what I do for a living. I'm an online fitness coach, and I help people build their diets, build their programs, and transform their bodies. Link in the description for my online coaching. Please give this video a like and a subscribe if you really enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.